welcome back to All Day on this Christmas Eve. Happy holidays to everybody out there. Hopefully everything goes smoothly and safe for everybody as you prepare for Christmas tomorrow. And as that goes, lobster is one of those popular Christmas dinner dishes. And if you've got any of those plans and you haven't gotten your lobster yet, well, you might have to adjust that menu because $400,000 worth of lobster that was on its way to Minnesota was recently stolen. The load being transported by Rexing Companies, an Indiana-based freight brokerage. It went missing after a pickup in Taunton, Massachusetts. So right now, the Rexing Company CEO, Dylan Rexing, joining us to talk about why seafood is targeted for cargo thefts. And Dylan, thank you for joining us here. First, explain your company's role in the supply chain for stores. You know, with this lobster, I believe, was headed to Costco. I mean, what is the role that Rexing plays here?
So thanks for having us. First off, Rob, I'm glad to be here. I would say, you know, our role, we're kind of a middleman in the freight world. Think of kind of like a stockbroker. And so we have some customers, one in particular we had some lobster picking up in Massachusetts, heading to Minneapolis, and had a big problem, and that shipment was stolen.
Yeah, and this was recently. Is this something that you've been able to in any way track down where it might have gone or who's involved?
So it's a little early in the investigation process. This actually happened on December 12th. I've done a ton of research, know more about freight fraud now than probably I've ever have. But the location where the product shipped from, there were two loads. A load of lobster and a load of crabs stolen from the same facility in Massachusetts in a 10-day period here leading up to Christmas.
All right. And we know that recently, you know, this has been a growing issue, organized cargo thefts. You know, we just watched a 60 Minutes story about this too. How big of a problem is this becoming nationwide?
So we're a member, our company is a member of the Transportation Intermediaries Association. It's a trade association that governs this in our industry. And we estimate it's somewhere around we estimate it's somewhere around $100 billion. But we also believe that only 10% of cargo theft is actually reported. So we believe it's a much larger problem. As of recently, the number I'd throw out there is a 1,500% increase year over year. It's been a problem for a long time.
And explain, you know, this can be pretty sophisticated with the bad actors here impersonating subcontracting trucking companies and hiring drivers. I mean, explain generally how these thefts occur.
Yeah. As you mentioned, these guys, Rob, are really sophisticated. They're faking commercial driver's licenses. They're changing the names inside of trucks. They're changing domain names and email addresses. You know, this particular situation, we've made some changes internally to make sure it doesn't happen again. But at the end of the day, these guys are good. This isn't a mom and pop shop that is doing this. This is organized crime.
And where, for example, in lobster, I mean, I've seen in other cases where some of these cargo thefts, various things wind up in warehouses, say in LA or other places, to then go on the black market. I mean, where would theoretically lobster go?
So we don't know exactly where it went, Rob, but our good guess tells us it ended up in New York City somewhere. This particular product was picking up in Massachusetts. And New York City's not very far. There's plenty of different seafood markets. We believe this shipment was probably gone within the first 12 to 24 hours of it going missing.
That's something. What is being done, or what can be done to really kind of crack down on these, again, sophisticated efforts to impersonate other trucking companies to basically hijack a shipment? What can you do?
You know, great question. You know, for us, this shipment's gone. We'll have to take the internal loss with that. And today, again, as mentioned, the shipment's gone. But what I'm here today to talk about is just to put a spotlight on the issue. As you mentioned, 60 Minutes just did a little skit on this. It was in the Wall Street Journal recently. We just need to continue to put a spotlight on this issue so that the federal government and the state and local police departments and the FBI can get more involved.
Yeah, in what ways could, I mean, in terms of preventative measures to track down the people that are behind this, or in terms of finding out where it's gone? I mean, do you believe that this is a large ring that's connected, or there's multiple different people involved in this? Do we have any idea?
I would say that, again, organized crime, I think there's a couple groups involved. I mean, they're doing things like they're buying trucking companies and changing, and to own a trucking company, you have to have an MC number, a motor carrier number. And so they're buying those on the kind of on Facebook Marketplace and other places that folks are getting out of the business. They're taking those MC numbers and they're committing fraud with it. So from a government's perspective, I think there needs to be some more processes and procedures in place to make sure that legitimate folks end up with these. I mean, I'm not telling you can't buy and sell a trucking business. I just think we need to be verifying, have physical addresses, no PO boxes. That's been a big problem. The FMCSA and the federal government just need to do more.
So you think there's been a big loophole here on behalf of the federal government in terms of that these people are able to get through in order to pose as trucking companies?
Yeah, there's one address, and there's an address out west that I think 400 or 500 different trucking companies are all located in one PO box. And so think about that as a person, that's not humanly possible.
It's a big red flag.
And so we've gone to FMCSA. I believe at this point they've done something about it, but it took us a little while. I've been to Capitol Hill 3 years myself to talk about this problem, and our trade associations have been going for 10 to 12 years to kind of talk about the same issue. And ultimately, you're seeing it in your grocery store. So when you go to the grocery store, you're going to pay higher prices for the items that you normally buy. And so it's affecting everyone. Yeah,
because I mean, it affects you and other folks involved in the supply chain, but ultimately affects the consumer if these things are not showing up and you have to make up the cost of what you've lost.
Right.
Wow. So how long has this been going on, and when did you notice it really maybe getting worse?
You're talking about in our specific situation, or just cargo threat?
Either one. I mean, whichever. I mean, for your personal experience, or maybe for everybody else.
Again, it's been an ongoing issue for 10 to 12 years. We've spent some time where they've assigned some more resources to it, and I would say probably over the last 4 to 6 years, call it after COVID. And some of these actors, Rob, we believe are in Eastern Europe and doing this here in the United States. So I would say it's been a real issue for a long time, but it's really picked up in the last several years. Yeah,
and that's what I had seen too, is that they were tracking down some of this to actors in parts of Europe that were just doing all this just remotely and making this happen. Wow. Well, thanks for taking some time with us today to explain this and your push for the federal government in particular to do more to prevent this from happening.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
All right, thanks so much.